Today, we are going to talk about how much money you need in order to start your TC business. Hello and welcome back. My name is Cecilia Peralta. I am a virtual assistant, and in this channel, I share with you tips, tutorials, and industry insights to help virtual assistants become successful business owners. Okay, great. So here I am in my computer, and we're going to be discussing how much of an investment you need to make. So the idea is that we are going to review a couple of different levels, and then at the end, we're going to come up with a tally so you can have a better idea of what options best suit your needs. But before we start with going through the list and reviewing prices and deciding what's available for you, the important thing here is that you are planning to be a business owner. So I encourage you to take this in a very serious way, even though it could be a lot of fun, but still, I want you to take responsibility and pride of what you're doing. I want you to take it as a business, not as a side hustle. So the important thing in here, since you're going to be embarking in a business, is to take the time to brainstorm, evaluate, and plan what you are going to do with your business. It's what people call a business plan. And honestly, it doesn't have to be a super fancy document with 1,000 pages that you create for your business. It doesn't have to be that way. You want to make sure that you understand what are your goals and how are you going to accomplish certain type of growth. And we all have to start somewhere. So I don't want you to be super stressed about the things that you have or don't have at the very beginning. Please keep in mind that you're always going to have the opportunity to improve and grow as you go. But for me, at least, my philosophy is that when you just start your business, you want to keep your expenses low. You will have to evaluate what is necessary and what could potentially wait until you generate a little bit of money in your business. I'm going to start assuming you already own a laptop and smartphone, and you are going to be working from home if you decide to be an independent TC. So you already have an office space, which is your house, and you also have obviously utilities, and you have some type of table, desk, and some type of chair that you're going to use. And so you don't have to come up with the money to buy them. You're going to use what you have. So that is the level 0. Okay, and now we're going to move on to the next level, which I call it the level 1 for the essentials. You're going to have an exclusive email address for your business. I don't want you to use your personal email for business, especially if your email has some type of funny or personal reference like a nickname or your birth date or things like that. Don't do that. Just create a new email. And on top of everything, you shouldn't ever, kind of mix together your personal with your business. Have a dedicated email. At this point, if you really need to keep your expenses super, super low, you could potentially create an email address that is not branded, that it doesn't have a domain, but it still is professional enough and reflect the name of your business. I don't think it's the ideal option. However, if you need to, again, keep your expenses low, you could potentially do that. And then what you're also going to need is some type of a storage space. Normally, when you do have a Gmail account, for example, it comes with a minimum storage space. This is just for you to start generating a little bit of money and then reinvest in your business. Again, to me, this is not the ideal option. So obviously, if you have a little bit more money to spend on a domain, I absolutely recommend that you do that. But if not, this is the option that is available as well for you. Now, when you do have a personal Google account, not a branded one, not a one with a specific domain for your business, then you can use a Google Voice for free. which I totally recommend that you get a separate number for your business. You don't want to use your personal number. The advantage on that is that you can use the Google Voice in your computer, and even though it's going to be linked to your phone, you can always disable the notifications, so you don't really have to be receiving calls or notifications after hours or on the weekends. So moving on, let's say that you do not have the budget when you just start to create a website. Even though websites are not super expensive, you have to be a little bit creative. Either you create a flyer with a list of all your services. And when I say the flyer, I mean in a digital version that you can create with a free subscription in Canva. Make it look super professional. Make sure you put there every single service that you provide. And you will be able to send this flyer when someone is asking you about your services and your prices. Okay, so that is again the very minimum that you can have in order to promote your services and let people know what to do, what is included and what is not. And that will kind of right now, just for now, replace the need of the website. Now, you're also going to need to have some type of intake form. A free option is a Google form that I also have a video that shows you how to create one, and I'm going to link it in this video as well for you to check it out. When it comes to your business, there are a couple of things that you can do. And I have to give you a disclaimer. I am not a CPA. I am not an attorney. So you will have to get legal and financial advice from professionals, not from me. This is just a guidance so you can go ahead and do your own research. When you create a business, you could be a sole proprietor. So you can operate under your own name, or you can operate under an LLC, or you can also create a DBA, which is doing business as, because let's say that you don't want to call your business with your own name or operate under your own name, you could have a DBA. Now, when I register my DBA, that was about $50, but also you have to publish the name of your business in a newspaper. So that cost me $28. Also, you have to have a separate bank account. To me, that is a non-negotiable. You have to. Even though let's say you're going to do business as a sole proprietor and you're not going to create an LLC or something like that, still my recommendation is that you absolutely always have a separate bank account. I put there $150. And the reason being is not that it's going to cost you $150 to open the account, but I have to have some type of balance in my account in order to open it. So obviously you will have to check with your own bank. You will have to do your own due diligence because it might be a different amount that they require. Now, talking about business, you are going to have some type of bookkeeping service or system that you use, and you're going to have a way to invoice your clients. So just to keep it super, super low as free, I recommend that you use the Way Up. I hear a lot of TCs in different forums that they talk really well about that. I personally don't use it. I use QuickBooks. However, you have to pay for QuickBooks. So check them out and see if that is something that could accommodate your needs for invoicing and bookkeeping. You will have to make sure that your books are in order. Keep in mind that you have to pay taxes because you are an independent contractor. You are not an employee. So make sure, again, that you consult with an accountant so they can help you understand based on the business structure that you have, what are the steps that you need to take, how you need to file taxes and things like that. This is, it goes beyond the scope of this video, but definitely keep in mind that is something that you're responsible for and that you need to do your research. As a transaction coordinator, you are going to have some type of system in place in order to manage all the transactions that you're going to have at the same time without dropping the ball. So for free, you can utilize a spreadsheet. You can create a spreadsheet with all the information that you need to remember, all the tasks that you need to complete. Or if you prefer to utilize a software subscription like OTC or A-Frame or any of the task management system, for the most part, they offer a free trial. Some of them have a free trial that is based on an amount of days, and some others, like OTC, are based on an amount of transactions, which for me is super convenient because, in 15 days, maybe you don't have enough clients to start justifying to pay for a monthly subscription. However, after 15 transactions, I'm sure that you can afford to pay, a subscription. So totally up to you, but my recommendation is that you always have some type of task management system, okay? You cannot trust your memory. All right, another thing that is free and I totally recommend is Loom Video, and you can use it in many different ways. I really like, for marketing purposes, to send video emails to communicate with potential clients. I love to use Loom videos to record what I'm doing and create processes and procedures. Now, errors and omissions insurance, absolutely necessary. I put $40 to $50 a month. Go ahead and contact insurance companies and request a quote to get something more specific for your own business. Now, another thing that I believe that is definitely something that you have to have in place and is absolutely worth the money is a contract template. And when I said contract, I'm not talking about the real estate contracts that you're going to work with. I'm talking about an agreement between you and your clients. That way you can be legally protected. Now, I put a 125 as an estimate, but there are a lot of companies that sell templates. And honestly, what I find out is that it's cheaper when you find a place that sells a bundle, right? If you buy it by itself, the most convenient option that I found is 125, and I'm going to, include the link in the description if you would like to check it out. Another thing that is super, super important when it comes to protect yourself and your clients is to have an antivirus. Because remember, you are handling sensitive information. You are handling contracts. In my opinion, you have a lot of responsibility in your hands. So at least take all the precautions that you can in order to avoid it, okay? It's only costing $3 a month. And you're going to be downloading a lot of documentation from many different sources. So I think that is also really good to protect yourself and your computer and your personal information, right? Now, another thing that you can utilize is Zoom. Zoom is free, at least with a limited time per meeting, but still, it's great. And you can use Zoom to meet with potential clients, to conduct discovery calls. And also, I will encourage you to have Calendly, because Calendly is going to allow you to create events in your calendar and share that with your potential clients that would like to book a discovery call with you. And that is also free. The last item that I include in this list is a TC course. If you are already trained, if you already have experience, maybe as an in-house TC that is just transitioning to be independent, you don't need that. However, in some other instances, you are going to need some type of training. So I put it in there as an expense, and normally a TC course can go from the $300 all the way to, honestly, I've seen courses for $5,000. So obviously do your research, check it out. I let you know once that I launch mine, hopefully in a couple of months, and we go from there. That is for the essentials. And again, I want to make sure that you understand that that is the bare minimum that you will need in order to start your business. And some of the options that I listed in here, I don't think that they are, the way to go. However, between not going and going with that one, I prefer that you take action. Okay. Now let's go to the next level. And for this one, what I have is kind of more advanced, if you will. And the first item that I put in here is a website. A website can cost you, for the hosting, about $36 a month. You might be able to find cheaper or more expensive options. That is just a guide. And for the domain, I will say that in average is like about $3 a month. You're going to definitely need a branded email, and that could cost you about $6 a month. It's going to make your business look more legit. It's going to start establishing a brand for you and make you kind of looking a little bit more professional, more serious about your business. You also going to need a business phone line. Okay, we discussed it in the previous level, in the previous slide, that you need to have a separate number. And we said that when you have like a regular personal Gmail account, you can use Google Voice for free. Now, if you do have a branded email, that is not going to be free anymore. My understanding is that you have to pay $10 a month. Now, the next thing that we discussed also on the previous slide is a Google Drive storage space. Or you can decide to go with Dropbox, or you can decide to go with OneDrive. Just research and come up with the best option for you. But when you do have a branded email, normally that includes some type of storage based on how much you pay per month. So I think that right now they charge $6 a month, and Gmail includes 30 gigabytes of storage. Now, if you pay 12, I think that is 2 TB instead of 30 GB. Now, we talk as well in the previous slide about transaction management systems. These options could go from $50 all the way to $250 or maybe more, but that is just a ballpark. Now, when you get a little bit more advanced, you might want to invest in equipment, and that is totally up to you. Not saying that you need it, but maybe you start with a very basic laptop that is not very efficient, that is not very fast, and you will be more productive if you upgrade your computer. Or maybe you could benefit of having a dual monitor because it's going to make things easier for you. Maybe you like to have headsets, so you don't have to be with your phone like that while typing. It's totally up to you, obviously. And another things that you could potentially consider is to have an ergonomic chair if you don't have one, or a fancier desk. Now, another thing that you should consider is education. If you want to grow in this business, if you want to be professional, you always have to invest in education. You have to invest in yourself. And you might want to create a budget for education. And I put the sky's the limit because I don't know if that is a simple course, or that is a conference, or it is a mastermind group. Whatever it is, I definitely recommend that whenever you are in a position to afford that, invest in yourself. And the idea is that you grow your business and eventually start needing help. And I put contractors, but you could decide to go with employees instead. Definitely your call. But it is very common that at the very beginning, when you start growing, you hire contractors. Okay, so now let's talk about the summary. So think about the things that you need. Think about the services you want to provide. Think about the way that you would like to promote your business. And based on that, create a budget. Do a research. Remember, you are opening a business, and it takes time, it takes work, it takes planning. So take it seriously and make sure that you set yourself and your business up for success. If you have any questions, make sure that you leave them in the comment. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I will see you on the next one. Thank you.